I'm 104 years old, and every doctor I've seen in the last 20 years has looked at me like I'm some kind of medical anomaly. They flip through their charts, they scratch their heads, and they ask me what my secret is. Walter, they say, by all accounts, you shouldn't still be here. But here I am, sitting on this porch, drinking my coffee, watching the world spin on without me. And I'm going to tell you the 6 things I did that no medical textbook can explain. You see, I was supposed to die at 58. That's what they told me back in 1979. I'd spent 30 years working at the steel mill in Gary, Indiana, breathing in God knows what, smoking 2 packs a day, eating whatever my wife Ruth put in front of me without a second thought. My heart gave out on a Tuesday afternoon, right there on the factory floor. They rushed me to the hospital, and Dr. Hendricks, a man with hands like a butcher and a voice like a preacher, told my wife to prepare for the worst. That was 46 years ago. Dr. Hendricks has been gone for decades, and I'm still here, stubborn as ever. Let me tell you about the first habit, and it's gonna sound strange, coming from a man who almost died from not taking care of himself. I stopped fighting my body and started listening to it. For 30 years, I treated my body like a machine. I pushed through pain. I ignored warning signs. I thought being a man meant never admitting weakness, and that attitude nearly put me in the ground. After my heart attack, Ruth sat me down at the kitchen table. She had tears in her eyes, and Ruth never cried. She said, "Walter, I can't bury you. Not yet. Not like this." And something in me broke open. I realized I'd been at war with my own body my entire adult life. So I surrendered. I started paying attention to when I was tired, when I was stressed, when something didn't feel right. I stopped pushing through and started pulling back. Men of my generation, we were taught that rest was laziness. That's a lie that kills us. Rest is how you stay alive. The second habit is simple, but I credit it with giving me at least 20 extra years. I walk every single morning. Not a jog, not a run, nothing fancy. Just a walk around the neighborhood. I started 3 days after I got home from the hospital in 1979. Against doctor's orders, actually. Ruth thought I was crazy. But I needed to move. I needed to feel my legs working, my lungs filling, my heart pumping. I needed proof that I was still alive. Here's what 46 years of morning walks taught me. It's not about the exercise. It's about the ritual. It's about telling yourself every single day that you're still in the game. I've walked through rain and snow and heat that would melt asphalt. I've walked through grief and joy and everything in between. I've watched this neighborhood change completely. Kids I saw learning to ride bikes and now grandparents themselves. And through all of it, I kept walking. 1 foot in front of the other. That's the secret to a long life if you want to know. Just keep moving forward, 1 step at a time. The third habit saved my marriage and probably my sanity. I learned to talk. Now that might sound simple to you, but for a man born in 1921, talking about feelings was about as natural as flying to the moon. We didn't do that. We worked, we provided, we kept our mouths shut and our emotions locked in a box somewhere deep inside. And that box was killing me. After my heart attack, Ruth and I started having what she called porch talks. Every evening after dinner, we'd sit right here on this porch, and she'd ask me how I was really doing. At first, I didn't know how to answer. I'd grunt and say, fine, and hope she'd drop it. But she never did. She kept asking, kept pushing, kept making space for me to be something other than strong. And slowly, over months and years, I learned to let it out. I told her about my fears, my regrets, the things I'd never said to anyone. And you know what? I didn't fall apart. I got stronger. The things we don't say are the things that eat us alive. I learned that at 58. I wish I'd learned it at 25. The fourth habit is about food, but not in the way those health magazines talk about it. I eat real food. That's it. Nothing from a box if I can help it. Nothing with ingredients I can't pronounce. After Ruth passed in 2011, my daughter wanted to put me on some kind of senior meal plan. Frozen dinners, prepackaged nonsense. I refused. I learned to cook at 59 years old, taught myself from Ruth's old recipe cards, and I've been making my own meals ever since. But here's the real secret. I eat at the table. I sit down. I say grace even though I'm not sure anyone's listening. And I take my time. I don't eat in front of the television. I don't eat standing over the sink like I used to when I was young and stupid. Every meal is a small moment of peace. My grandson, he eats like he's being chased, shoves food in his mouth while staring at his phone. I told him once, boy, you're not tasting a single bite. You're just fueling up like a car at a gas station. He laughed at me. But I notice he's always tired, always stressed, always rushing to the next thing. Slow down. That's what I want to tell all of you. Slow down and taste your life. The fifth habit is the one that people find hardest to believe. I never really retired. I left the steel mill at 60, took my pension, and everyone expected me to sit in a chair and wait to die. That's what men did back then. They worked themselves half to death, then they sat down and finished the job. I refused. I started volunteering at the VA hospital, helping other veterans navigate the system, filling out paperwork, just being there to talk. I did that for 35 years. 35 years of showing up, of being useful, of having a reason to get out of bed. Purpose is the thing nobody talks about when they talk about longevity. They talk about diet and exercise and supplements. They don't talk about the fact that human beings need a reason to live. After Ruth died, my purpose is what saved me. Those veterans at the hospital, they needed me, and I needed them. We kept each other alive. Some of them are gone now, but their families still send me letters. They tell me their father talked about me. Their grandfather mentioned me in his final days. That's the legacy I wanted. Not money, not possessions, just the knowledge that I mattered to someone. The sixth habit is the hardest one for a man like me to admit. I learned to accept help. For most of my life, I was the helper. I was the provider, the fixer, the one everyone came to when something needed doing. Asking for help felt like failure. It felt like admitting I was old, that I was weak, that I couldn't do it alone anymore. In 2018, I had a fall. Broke my hip, just like that. One moment I was reaching for a book on the top shelf. The next moment I was on the floor, wondering if this was how it ended. My neighbor found me 6 hours later. 6 hours on that cold floor, because I was too proud to wear one of those medical alert buttons my daughter had been begging me to use. That fall changed something in me. I realized that my stubbornness wasn't strength, it was stupidity. I let my daughter install the alert button. I let my grandson come by twice a week to help with groceries. I let the church send over meals when I was recovering. And you know what happened? Those relationships got deeper. My grandson and I talk now in ways we never did before. He tells me about his life, his worries, his dreams. That never would have happened if I'd kept pretending I didn't need anyone. Needing people isn't weakness. It's being human. So there they are, my 6 habits. Listen to your body. Walk every day. Learn to talk about what's inside you. Eat real food, slowly, at a table. Find purpose beyond yourself. Accept help with grace. But here's what I really want you to understand, and I need you to hear this. I didn't do these things because I wanted to live to 104. I did them because I wanted to live well for whatever time I had left. Longevity isn't the goal. Peace is the goal. And peace, real peace, that's what keeps your heart beating when the doctors say it should have stopped. I've buried my wife. I've buried friends from the war, friends from the mill, friends from the hospital. I've stood at more graves than I can count. But I've also held great-great-grandchildren in my arms. I've seen sunrises that made me weep with gratitude. I've had ordinary Wednesday mornings that felt like gifts from God simply because I was awake to see them. And now I'm talking to you. I don't know how old you are. I don't know what you're facing. But I know this much. You don't need to wait for a heart attack to start living right. You don't need a doctor to scare you into paying attention. The best time to change was 40 years ago. The second best time is today. Tell me in the comments what you're struggling with. What habit do you need to start? What do you need to let go of? I read every single comment, and at my age, your words mean more than you know. They remind me that this old voice still has something to offer. If anything I said today meant something to you, subscribe. Do it for the man you'll be in 20 years, the one who will look back and be grateful you started paying attention. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, a father, a brother, a friend who's running himself into the ground, share this with them. Do it today. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed for any of us. 104 years. Every morning I wake up and put my feet on the cold floor and say thank you for one more day. That's not luck. That's not genetics. My father died at 62. My brother didn't make it past 70. This is a choice. 1,000 small choices made every single day. And those choices are available to you too, right now, this very moment. Don't wait. Start today.